and then it all kicks in. So it's quite a while. It's a good minute before it all kicks in. You've got this drums bit, and then you've got a little breakdown bit, and then it all kicks in. And that is where I start my rap. Now, the guy has introduced me, like, he's like, hey, we've got a rapper from London. His name's Mr.C, and he's going to rap for you, and he gives me the mic and then starts the record. So I'm standing there waiting for the bit where I start. That's not how it works. So it was like, really, I should have been an MC. Yeah, how you doing, everybody? Are you ready? None of that. I'm new.
You're just waiting. You're like waiting for the.
So people were like, come on, hurry up. What are you doing? Come on. Yeah. And then it breaks down.
Heavy, 5 by 5. I know that.
And then it kicks in, like the whole thing comes in. And so once it kicks, like, and by the time it gets to the breakdown bit, you can hear people going, oh, sort it out, boo. You know what the English are like? Well, they're all piss takers. Well, us English are piss takers. So people are taking the piss. And then as the beat kicks in, I start, right? Well, I'm slick, bad, check me out. I come to show you what rapping is all about. Because I'm rocking on the mics every day of the week. Same rap that I just did. And it went off. People started going mad. Like, it kicked right off. It was crazy. And I was like, that was it. I'm in. I'm addicted. I'm 17. I'm like, this is me. This is what I'm doing. This is, I've been writing lyrics for a couple of years. I got books full of lyrics, and I'm ready. This is it, my first club gig. And I went back in there every night for the week that we was in Tenerife and got on that mic. But the second day, now I'm like, okay, now I know I need to like talk to them. I'm not having that again. So then, that was where I learned to be I'd already been a rapper for a couple of years, but now I'm learning to be an MC because now I've got to interact with the crowd before I start to deliver lyrics.
See, and how do you become like, yes, you're a rapper, but what gives you the intuition to become the MC? Like, did you remember seeing someone else do it? Or
it was basically not wanting to be booed again when someone introduces me.
See, people don't realize that. They don't understand it. They think it's like magic.
Look, before that, I would be in this CB Radio Breakers Club, and I would be in there, and the DJ would be playing electro or disco, and I'd say, yeah, give me the mic, and I wouldn't do any MC, and I'd just start rapping. So that for me was the thing, whereas now this dude, he's introduced me, stopped the music in the nightclub, introduced me, and started.
Proper.
So, I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting for him to just carry on playing music like he was and then give me the mic, not do the whole introduction. And that was what made me go, oh, wow, I need to actually talk to people. I need to address people. I need to get them G'd up a little bit. And so the next night I went back, that was what I'd learned. I was like, okay, hey, everybody, how you doing? We're going to have some fun. Yeah, all right. We're going to start rapping for you in a minute, but I want to make sure everybody's into the groove. You're into the groove? Yeah, all right, let me see you moving. You see? So now I know what I'm doing. Now I know that I've now got a plan. I'm not going to get booed again. I'm going to do it a different way.
That boo thing is horrible. That boo is, it takes your ego right down. You're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do?
Yeah. So that was where I learned to be an MC as well, as because an MC and a rapper are two different things.
So, like, for example, everyone, if you ever watched the man himself, James Brown, okay? And of course, James Brown with his dance and everything, he had his MC come out.
Yes.
Warm up the crowd, and the MC, the greatest entertainer of all time. The man himself is going to turn you out, and blah, 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 and keep going. And then, dun, 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 James Brown come out. Hey!
Yeah. Boom. And even James Brown did MC'd as well. Are you ready? Are you ready to get into it? I'm going to get up and do my thing. Like a sex machine man. Are you ready to that's MC. That's MC. And the whole rap scene started in New York with loudmouth DJs talking on the mic. That's how the MC thing started, and then rap came out of that. So for me, it was a quick learning curve. Like my first club gig, this happened, and it wasn't even it's me going up and begging the DJ to get on the mic.
But see, now, hang on, Mr.C. So we got people like Tony Prince in your country that is doing it his way, DJing and MCing in between and doing a English rap, but posh rap. You know what I'm saying? So that was going on both sides. But yes, in New York, in the neighborhoods on the street, they be going in the middle, saying their spoof, and then getting the crowd hyped up.
I had a lot of help at the beginning.
Tell us that.
I started writing my rap lyrics, and it was me and my buddy that I used to hang out with. And he was buying records before me. His collection was getting big. He liked to buy records. So his name was Robert Brown. Really, he's like my bestie. We used to hang out together. We used to do body popping together and all that. And like we said, all right, let's start rapping. Yeah, we both start rapping. And like, okay, so I'm writing my lyrics, and he's got his lyrics, but they're not his. He was stealing them from a New York rap. He was getting these tapes, from New York. Yeah, and there was a rapper who was now very, 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 very famous, but hadn't released any music then, and his name was Busta Rhymes.
Oh,
right. So my buddy is saying, "Yeah, my rap name's Busta Rhymes." I'm like, "Oh, that's a good name." Right? No, but we were just doing it as kids in the bedroom. It wasn't anything like that. Yeah, and so. Like he's rapping all these Busta Rhymes raps that he's learned off of his tapes, and I'm writing the original raps and keeping up, and my raps were every bit as good as his raps, and we were like doing this and rapping together, and he'd bust his bit and as Busta Rhymes, and I'll rap my bit as Myster-C. But I think because he had such good rhymes, it forced me to be as good with my rhymes. So that was a real help. And about 6 months into this, when we're really getting it down, he's got, "Rich, I've got a confession." I'm like, "What's that?" He said, "These are not my lyrics. I'm not Busta Rhymes. It's a rapper in New York. I've just been using his lyrics to rap with you as we learn." And I burst out laughing. I'm like, "You prat, what are you doing?" But it was a big help. And he was more the DJ and I was more the rapper. So it worked. But for my first 6 months of writing lyrics, my inspiration was unbeknowingly Busta Rhymes. Because my mate's rapping Busta Rhymes lyrics. So I've got to keep up with that. It was crazy. And that was a good start for me. It was a good way for me to start at a good level as a writer of rap.
It's awesome because what's happening is you're getting great lyrics, rap lyrics, and you're competing with this guy to do yourself to become better. But yet, wait, let's pull the curtain up. Bro, it's not me. That's that home from New York.
And he was honest about it later on. It was for him. It was a funny joke. It was like it was an in joke. We weren't doing. We were 16. We weren't out doing it in clubs. We was doing it in his bedroom. I was a bedroom rapper and he was a bedroom DJ. And we were 16-year-old kids having fun. Wait
a minute. How does your friend? This is another thing because I remember when we were kids, the hardest thing was to afford to buy records. Where is he getting money to buy all these collection records? Because that was a hardship for us back then.
Yeah, it was a hardship for us too. But he got it was bit by bit. Like we did like jobs as kids when we worked. We worked as children. Like I did. At 9 years old, I did a paper round. I was up at 6 a.m. delivering papers to people's houses before going to school to earn £3 a week, like when I was a kid. And that was what we did. And then when I got to 13, I used to do after school. I worked in a hardware store between 4 and 7 p.m. for 3 hours every evening, Monday to Friday. And then all day Saturday, I would work in a hardware store, and like that got me a little bit of money, enough to buy a few records. And Robert was doing the same sort of thing. We got by, but it was like, oh, I'm going to go and buy one record this week. It's not like I'm going to go buy a ton of records. Which one record am I going to buy for £2.99 this week? And that's an import. That's £4.99. It's a bit rich for me. I'll wait for it to get an English release for £2.99.
That's right.
It's a bit more. Like we had these things. So that was how it was. So the record collection that Robert got was built up over 2 or 3 years from when we was 13, and it was just getting the ones that were great. Oh, that album, this compilation album. that had a bunch on it, good value, you know, like this album, this single, these mixes. And the singles were always a little bit more of a luxury, because you wouldn't get as much music for your money with a 12-inch single as you would for a full album, you know, because you get all those tracks. And, you know, we weren't DJing out, it was just home listening. So it didn't matter that the album was a lower press and a lower cut, because we're listening to them. We're listening on a home hi-fi. It didn't matter, you know. So that was how he, and I wasn't really spending my money that much on records. I was spending it on weed. Yeah. So like, and I would always be like, you know what? I bought my microphone. I've got my microphone. He's the DJ, he can buy the records. And I'd get the odd record here and there. Oh, I like that, I'm going to buy that. Oh, yeah, I like that, I'm going to buy that. And my collection built up slowly. But it wasn't until I made that transition into being a DJ that I really started buying. But I would still buy the odd tracks that I liked. One here, one there, one here, one there, as you do when you're a kid.
Crazy, dude. This is exactly the life that we all lived in New York at the same time.
Same thing. It's the same thing. It's amazing how that works out. So yeah, and it was to have that sort of inspiration as a rapper was great. And then once I'd done that first gig in Tenerife on holiday,
How many times you performed at that spot? 7 times? 6 times?
Yeah, 7 times.
So you were already professional by the end of the week. You were pro.
Damn straight. And then I was like, going to clubs, and then I started rapping with various different people. There was a radio station in London called London Weekend Radio, or LWR.
I remember that.
Right. So this was one of the early stations as well. And one of the radio DJs on there was a DJ called Ron Tom. Yeah. And he's like, he played soul, funk, disco, hip hop, whatever, all right across the spectrum of that. And he was like the original Funky Dread with the big dreadlocks, but shaved around the sides. And Ron Tom lived in the street next to me. Yeah. And so I knew him. And then he's on the radio, and it's like, oh, Ron Tom's on the radio, great. And then I'd started hanging out with him, and then when he heard me rap, it was like, yeah, Richie, come on, rap with me. So I started being his rapper, and we would go around all these gigs in London, and I would be his rapper. I became the rapper for the LWR Soul Syndicate, and would do all the LWR Soul Syndicate stuff. And it was a bit crazy because I would be one of the only white guys there. It was very black. And I'd be involved, and sometimes I had a bit of jealousy, and I'd have a bit of resentment. Maybe people thinking it was cultural appropriation or whatever. And but I would go and I would rap, and if anyone got a little bit leery, my mate Ron Tom's 6'2" Jamaican, and you wouldn't mess with him. He was a proper ragger.
He'd be like, what you on about?
And if anyone come getting it, it'd be yeah. And I was a bit of a hooligan myself as well, so I was never. I'm like, fuck off. Do you know what? Go on. But I was a bad, I was a badass rapper. So that thing kept happening. And then I started because I was with the LWR Soul Syndicate, I started to get to know the other LWR DJs, and also started rapping with another one. His name's Jasper the Vinyl Junkie. And he was also best friends with another LWR DJ called Jazzy M. Jazzy M is one of the original he did the first house music radio show.
Thank you. Clearly for everybody, because I said the same thing, because I met Jazzy in '88 and helping him get stuff from New York. That you said it correctly. He was the first what?
He was the first radio DJ for house music in England. For me, Jazzy M. Godfather. So Jasper, who I was rapping with a lot more, he played soul, funk, disco, house, New York garage. He played it all. So and I would go and hang out with him, and this is 1985, 1986, 1985, and Ron Tom was a bit before that, 84. So now I'm hanging out with these DJs and I'm playing, and it wasn't, but I had an experience that was almost identical to Eminem on the Mile High movie, but in London and many, many years earlier. And I was with Jasper the Vinyl Junkie. We used to rap in different clubs, and he's going to a hip hop club. He's going to play at a hip hop club with another DJ, hip hop DJ called CJ Carlos. Yeah, so there's CJ Carlos and Jasper the Vinyl Junkie, the two DJs on this night. Then we're in the car and we're on the way, and it's in an area called Dalston in London, and it's at that time in it's very hardcore, ghetto, black, rough, very rough area, you know, like ragga. It was all right for us. I mean, I lived only a mile and a half up the road. I'm used to that. I grew up in that environment, so for me, it's not a problem. But like, we're on the way, and he's like, "Yeah, so Rich, there's going to be a rap competition at the club." I'm like, "Count me out." Like, he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Count me out. I'm not a battle rapper. I mean, I've got battle lyrics. I've written battle lyrics just in case I come up with something, and if someone attacks me, another rapper starts giving it, then I've got my toolkit. I've got my tools. I've got my lyrics. You know, I'm ready.
You're ready for action.
So now he's like, "Yeah, there's this rap competition, and I want you to get involved." I'm like, "Mate, not into it. I'll just come and dance and have a laugh." And we're in this club, and it's called the Four Aces, and it was a hardcore club. It later went on to become called the Labyrinth, which became a famous techno club like back in the late 80s. But it was before that, it was called the Four Aces, and we're in there, and you know, like, I'm having a good time. I'm one of the only white guys in there, but I'm having a good time.
See, can I ask you something?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because I'm having the time, I could see the stylings. Was everyone wearing shearlings and Kangos like at that era?
Yeah, yes,
New
absolutely.
York, that was the tight shearling with the square pocket and the Kangos, right?
Yes, that whole thing.
Yeah. Adidas shell tops? Adidas shell tops, bro?
This is 1985.
That's about the Adidas shell tops. Yes.
Yes, 1985 this was. Yeah, 1985. Might have been early 80s. No, it might have been 86. Early
big
80s.
Gold, big gold
chains. Yeah, big gold chains. You know, the Volkswagen things, like, you know, like the whole shebang. It was, you know, we did it the same as America. You know, it's the same thing.
Fair enough.
Yes. So I'm in there and I'm dancing and, like, you know, enjoying the beats and the rest of it, you know, chatting up girls as you do. And then all of a sudden I've got CJ McIntosh, right, we're going to start the rap competition, and the first rapper up is Myster-C.
Oh.
Well, I'm like, you know, so, like, you know, so I get up there, right, and I'm like, fuck it. I'm not now being called. I can't not go because otherwise I'm shame on the shame of, like, you know, being a coward. So I've got to go.
So Chris McIntosh says the first rapper is going to be Myster-C, CJ.
Yeah. So, you know, like, Jasper's up there laughing his ass off. They've set me.
I bet he is. I would have been too.
Absolute motherfuckers. They set
because they knew in the car that they set this up. And they knew
he knows. I said, no, I'm not doing this.
They said, no, he'll do it. He'll do it, man. He'll do it.
There. CJ Carlos made his own way. This was me and Jasper and a couple of other dudes are in the car. CJ Carlos is making his own way there, yeah? So CJ Carlos comes on and says, first rapper's Myster-C. So I get on the stage and, you know, like, the only white guy there. So I'm going all Beastie Boys on their fucking asses. I'm going, like, aggressive. I'm getting beastie on their asses. And that's what I did. And I came in. My name is Myster-C, and I came here to battle. And come in like no baby with a nappy and a rattle. I come about and I kick it hardcore. Make you motherfucking niggas just beg me for more. Hear the words, sucker, listen to what I say. I'm not here for fun. I'm not here to play. I rock it hardcore, rap from my heart. And it just went off. The whole place.
Screaming like a mosh pit, right? Jumping up and down like a mosh pit.
Place went crazy. Yeah, it was mad. And, you know, and then right after me, like, everyone was like, yeah. And right after me, there's three dudes came on, right, and started rapping. People's boo, throwing their, like, Ribena juice cart, their little box.
Ribena box juice boxes.
Yeah. And like, and then the next one came on, and I won, hands down. And no one reached anywhere near the level of energy that I did. And I won the competition. I ended up with the hottest chick in the house. It was dope. And that was a massive thing. Like that was a proper like that in like, you know, Eminem's Mile High. It was like the same kind of shit.
Sweatbox.
By 1985.
Right. Sweatbox.
Yeah.
Underground.
Yeah.
And totally real. Like, here we go.
Real. That was crazy. And it was a big learning curve, a big experience for me. And it's funny because it wasn't really not much longer after that. I changed styles altogether. Like a year later in 1986, you know, I was like, you know, I want to move on. And then I started rapping on house music.
Well, that's funny you say that because right around that time, Eric B. and Rakim sampled that Paid in Full. And those records,
boom, 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 boom.
And everything started to get real magical sounding and musical. And the club scene was starting to take those records as part of the set with the electro dance music.
Yeah, because Jasper would play electro, he would play disco, he would play hip hop, and like, you know, so, and I was a disco music DJ. I liked it upbeat, yeah. And when it started getting slower and slower, the hip hop, and a bit more aggressive, and a bit more like the lyrics started to become a bit aggressive, like talking derogatory about women and like.
That's a little later. That's a little later.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's still that.
We're still in
Yeah, no, but later, I'm talking about 85, 86 now. 86 I'm talking about now. So this is later. So by 86, it starts to get a bit more aggressive. And I'm like, you know what? This isn't me. My style of rap is fun. It's about if I'm going, hey. Aggressive. Because that's the, you know, with the whole rap scene, these people are expressing their lives. They're living on the street in the projects. So I get that, you know, they're expressing their culture, how they're growing up in the projects and how they're growing up on the streets and how they're, and that wasn't me. I mean, I grew up from the projects of London, but my thing was more fun. It was more about having a good time. And I had all my reality lyrics. You know, I was inspired by The Message by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. So I had all my reality, I used to call them reality lyrics or party lyrics. And I had my two sets of lyrics that I would use. So for me, like, you know, I got to this point where it started to get a little bit aggressive. And, you know, I wanted to go more upbeat. And I thought, you know, and house music was just starting to show itself. 85, 86. House music just started to come through, and I was immediately into it. I was into electro big time. So house music was like an evolution of electro and disco in one thing. This is me all over, you know, like when things like Serious Intention came through, like the Easy Street records and the early Jump Street records and, you know, Russ Brown, Found a Way. It started to make that crossover, you know, and Lola with Wax the Van. So, but when I heard Wax the Van, I was like, what is this? This is house. And it wasn't called house then. It was just called dance music.
That's how I remember it. They used to say R&B dance music because they didn't know how to categorize
it. It wasn't house, but that, you know, that Wax the Van, boom, 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 it was house, you know, and I was hooked, and that was it. And I want to rap on that, yeah. And then so this whole house thing started happening, and all of a sudden I heard the word Jack. You know, Jack in 1986, Jack your body. So I'm writing lyrics about Jack. Yeah, you know, like, and house. I started writing about house. Yeah, I started writing lyrics about house music and rapping them. And I was the only person in London, or as far as I know, anywhere in the world, rapping on house music in 1986. And like, I went to the Camden Palace, the legendary Camden Palace, and it was 1986. And the legend, one of the other godfathers of London, because there's a few, or there's a small handful, Colin Favour. The legendary Colin Favour. He was a house godfather, like proper, doing it in the gay clubs in 85, 86, like proper, right at the beginning. And, right, so he was playing with a Capital Radio DJ, Chris Forbes, at the legendary Camden Palace in Camden, North London. So I could walk there. It's a mile from my home. And I went in and they were like DJing, and I went up to the DJ booth and I'm like, hey, Colin, this must have been 4. It was 4 October 86, around that time. And I said, like, called the DJ over, and I'm like, hey, can I do a rap? He's like, what do you mean? I said, come here. And I started rapping in his ear. Yeah. Now this wasn't 86. This first time was 84, late 84. I did the same trick that I was doing on other people. Hey, it's late 84. Can I rap? I rapped in his ear. He's like, yeah, get on the mic. And I got on the mic in the Camden Palace, and everyone went mad. Everyone went crazy. Like, a brilliant night. Huge club, 2,500 people. Everyone losing their shit. Right. So that was great. I did that, did a bit of rap, got off. But then I went back again in 86, like very early 86. I went back again. I hadn't been there for just over a year. But now I want to rap on house music. So I go to the DJ booth again. And this time he's DJing with Evil Eddie Richards. Yeah. So it's Colin Favour and Eddie Richards, who's also one of the godfathers of house music from London. They're the three and Kid Bachelor is another. These are the ones that were there right in the very beginnings, yeah. And so Eddie Richards and Colin Favour are playing hip hop, go-go, disco, first wave, new wave, electro, house music, that all mixed up together because that was what it was back then. And I've gone back up and I've called Colin over. I said, "Do you remember me?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "Oh, I was here about a year ago and I rapped." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, I remember you. That was brilliant." I'm like, "Yeah, do you want me to get on again?" He's gone, "Yeah, I'd love you to get on again. But can you wait a little while because I'm playing house music at the moment and I'd have to slow it down and get into some hip hop for you." I went, "No, actually, I don't rap on hip hop anymore. I rap on house music." And he's like, "No, you don't. No one raps on house music." I said, "I do. Rap on house music." I rap on house music, and I rap about jacking your body and about house music. And he's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he knows I'm a rapper. He knows I've smashed it before, so he believes me. And I'm like, I said, "What you got lined up?" He's like, this Brutal House by Nitro Deluxe. It just come out. It's not in
I can hear the melody. Oh my God. That's
groove to the melody. So,
bro.
He brings me in. I get on the mic and I'm like, and I start, jack your body, jack, right. J-A-C-K, you'll be O-D-Y. Become a jack your body because you're looking so fly. With me, Myster-C, on the MRC, make your jack your body in the place to be. So just jack the groove. You ain't got nothing to prove, so make your body move. Only time you can rest against the wall is when you feel that your body is about to fall. Until that time, stay up on your feet. And I make you rock your body to the house music beat. And if I start rocking, it won't be no choice. It will only be because I lost my voice. It's like that. The house rap inventor and all that. And that was how
the crowd must have went electric.
Lost in mind. Eddie Richards is like, "Let's go in the studio." He's just starting his bad records label. Colin Favour, "Come to Kiss FM next week. I'm on Kick. Come and rap for me on the radio."
Right.
Media, and that was it. That was when I went into the studio with Eddie to make my first record in 86. It was a bit later, in middle 86, late 86. Didn't get released until the summer of 87, August 87. That was my first release. And it wasn't a rap. If I had have done a rap on a house song, and that would have been my first release, and I could have even preceded that because at one time I was rapping with Jasper the Vinyl Junkie at the Cricketers in Chertsey. It was one Sunday thing that he used to do. And Adonis come and done a PA. Yeah, right, in 86, like late 86. And Adonis was done his PA, and then he saw me rapping, and it blew his mind. And Adonis said, "Let's do something together." I'm like, "Well, when are you leaving?" And he's like, "Tomorrow." Well, we're not going to be able to do anything together, are we? And he wanted to do something with me. So I would have, if I'd have done that thing with Adonis, and if when I went into the studio with Eddie Richards, I'd done a rap instead of a spoken word, it would, and that got released in August 1987. It would have been the first hip house record ever released in the world if I'd have done a rap instead of a spoken word.
Before Tyree Cooper, before any of them.
Before Casey Flight.
Casey, right? Let's say Casey.
Yeah, before Ed Block, it's percussion. It before then, yeah. It would have been the first hip house record ever released. But I didn't. I did a spoken word because the record that Eddie played me was very deep. He made this very deep house tune, and it made me want to do something more profound. I was already a meditator at that time, and so I did a spoken word about the power of meditation and positive thinking and what you can achieve with that. And that was my very first record. Spoken word. Yeah, had it been rap, I would have been the very first hip house rapper release in the world. But it didn't happen.
How did that record do for you at that time?
I sold about 6,000 records, which was really good for a deep underground house.
Damn right. It was very good for a deep meditation type record.
Yeah, it was on Bad Records, BAAD, which was Eddie's label. He released Mac Attack, Art of Drums on there, was the first release. This was the second release, and it was 4 different artists. There was me, there was Syndicate, there was Ian B, and DJ T, who was a house music DJ on Kiss FM as well. So I was one of 4 tracks on this various artists EP that got released in August 1987, and that was it. That was my first release, and it was at that point that when that was released, I was like, you know what, I need to give up my day job. I was delivering milk. I was doing a milk round, delivering milk to people's doorsteps. That was my real job. And it's like, look, I need to really dedicate myself now. And I don't want to just write vocals and be a vocalist. I need to make the music and be a DJ as well. So that was when I started to that was when I gave up my day job to become a DJ.
Page 125, as we turn to that chapter now, it's a very important
moment. You should say page, because the song was called Page 67. The first vocal, the spoken word thing I did. But yeah, go ahead.
So let's get this correct. So you did the spoken word. You were baptized by fire between getting pulled every which way, because now all of a sudden they all see your skills and everybody wants a piece of that. Like Brittany says, everybody wants a piece of me. You know what I mean? So now it's the tone to say, I can actually really make some serious coins from this, and I can take this seriously, but I got to be in it to win it heavy. You can't deliver milk starting at 4:35 in the morning.
Yeah, and I was continuing to rap. Like, I was the resident MC at a club called Raw, and that was in the YMCA in Tottenham Court Road. Yeah, and the DJ, the DJ and promoter of Raw was the legendary Dave Durrell, who did Pump Up the Volume, Mars. Yeah, so I was rapping with him.
Pump up the volume, which was the first record to have all these samples and nobody cleared, and everybody came after this guy.
Yeah,
right. Remember that?
Yeah.
Came after him.
So I was rapping there, like rapping on house music, rapping on that sort of stuff. So I became this house rapper. I got known as the house rapper. I was the first person rapping on house music anywhere in London, and I made it my own. Moved away from the hip hop scene altogether, embedded in house music, and then became a house music DJ. Started buying up all the records. I got gigs straight away, because by this time I'm already very well known in the nightclub scene as the rapper Myster-C. So I'm able to say to the promoters, "Hey, how about having me DJ?" And they're like, "What, you DJ as well?" I'm like, "Here's a mixtape." And they'd listen to the mixtape and go, "Fucking hell, that's really good. Mixing's excellent. Yes, you can warm up." So there I am, warming up. Late 87, early 88, getting my warm-up sets in late 87. And so that was my start as a DJ. But because I knew everyone, I had an automatic in. And they were like, "Oh, Myster-C's DJing. Myster-C's on the flyer as a DJ, not a rapper. What's going on there?" Now everyone's curious. So now I'm starting to get mixtapes out there, and people are seeing that I'm playing the most badass house music. And I'm mixing it up like a proper mixer. Because obviously as a DJ, as a rapper, I know all the breaks. I know where you're meant to start the mix. I know where you're meant to end the mix. I know. And for me, I learned to mix on a belt drive with no pitch control. So when I get on a tech mix, it's butter. It's absolutely easy. It's so simple. It's like butter, mate. It's like boom. And that was how the DJing started. I did my own night. I did a couple of parties in a council house, in council flat. Like the whole council estate was in there doing these like all-night parties. I did 2 of those, and we got in trouble on the second one. And then I moved that into a club at the beginning in February 1988, and that was called Fantasy. So I started my own night called Fantasy in February 1988 in a club called the HQ in Camden Lock in North London. And it was a small club, held a couple of hundred people, and it was a Monday night, and it was house, acid, techno. And I believe that February 1988, it would have been the first non-gay house music club, rave club in London. I believe so. And I got my buddies, Eddie Richards and Colin Favor and Kid Bachelor, all to play with me, as you do.
Hey, I'm doing this night. And they're like, I'm down.
Yeah, I'm down. Anyway, these are my buddies. These are my homies. So
I'm sitting in this club. Next thing you know, I'm down. I'm there.
So, I'm a new DJ. I'm creating my own parties to DJ and getting established DJs to play with me. And that's how I was able to get in as a DJ.
Is this a picture of this kid?
No, that's Curtis. That's yeah, that's Mr. Cashmere. That was at the end.
Later on, yeah.
In the second anniversary, so that would have been 90.
That's too late. I was thinking. At first, when I saw the picture really small, it looked like Kid, because Kid would do that.
Look like, they do look alike. They're very both
the Kid. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. They do look alike. Yeah.
For those that know who Kid Bachelor is, he later mixes a record called Bang Bang Your Mind on Warriors Dance. It becomes one of the biggest house records of that.
And he did all the remix, No Smoke.
No Smoke, Coro.
And but also his own band, Bang the Party. Really shabadi all the time. Dum 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 dum. Really shabadi.
All of you from that lot became, in your own way, huge.
Yeah.
All of you at the same time, all like a flower, all, each part of you went your way, Kid's doing his thing, Evil Eddie Rich is doing his thing, Colin Favre's doing his thing. All of you had become very successful at that time.
Yeah.
As this thing is exploding.
Yeah, and because there was like some really good DJs right at the very beginning that were doing that. So all those that you mentioned, I want to give props to some more DJs as well. People like Frankie Fonsette. Very. I mean, you never hear much about Frankie Fonsette. It's almost like people forgotten about Frankie Fonsette and his country. Like, he bought for Black Market. He bought the records and he was selling them. And he's a good DJ as well. He played a lot of good records. He's a great DJ. Another one, even less known, Frankie Valentine was another one of the originator boys here, and he doesn't get any props. People are like, who? Frankie Valentine. Like, these people deserve to be mentioned, from the ones that were right there at the beginning in 1984, 85, 86, 87. Obviously, you have the more commercial side with DJs like Paul Oakenfold and Danny Rampling were doing their more, is a bit more white, what they were doing. The ones all that I've mentioned is all a bit more black, a bit more urban sounding house music. So that's the side. Which was what we was into. So, I wanted to give, like, the Frankies, Frankie Valentine, Frankie Fonsette, a little prop as well, because they were all...
Deserve it.
Then also Eon, Ian B was another one, Eon. And then there was DJ T was another dude that, was one of the early 87 on Kiss FM. So there was a few people doing proper house music from New York and Chicago and Detroit. There was a dozen of DJs of us together that were really pushing that in 88, that underground sound of house. And we kept, and then it completely blew up into this culture. And the music come from America. It was black dance music and Hispanic dance music from New York, Chicago, and Detroit. And that was what our scene was on. But the culture comes from us. We made the culture.
Oh, yes.
That's like rave culture, acid house culture. We made that. That's us.
And let me give you some
DJs I've mentioned now. We made the culture. And up in the north, they had it as well. There was obviously another originator that I've got to give props to, Graham Park. Graham Park was there right at the beginning. I listened to him in 1986 in the warehouse in Nottingham playing house music. Yeah, so Graham Park was another one. Mike Pickering, what they were doing at the Hacienda. Was at the same time. So what was happening in London? There was a thing going on in Manchester a much smaller scene because Manchester was only based around one club, whereas London was based around lots of different things because it's a much bigger city in London. So while we had all these early parties in warehouses and stuff like that, and clubs like the Camden Palace and Pyramid and Busby's and Mud Club and all these different clubs in 85, 86, 87, they had the Hacienda in Manchester. So you have to give those guys props as well from England. But together, collective of DJs made rave culture happen. We invented it and exported it back to America.
I know. But I will say this, without having you guys championing all these sounds, all of us would never have the careers we've had.
I don't know. I disagree. I think it would have happened anyway. And if it wasn't us, it would have been someone else. Because it was right after that, 88, when it all blew up. You had people like Dimitri in Amsterdam, not Dimitri from Paris, Dimitri from Amsterdam. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant house music DJ. Doing it in Holland as well. He was one of the first on the mainland of Europe. You have to give props to those guys.
No. Saying that those DJs, we're talking about the culture of the magazines and helping to blow this up worldwide.
Yeah, but I'm saying if we didn't, someone else would have. Because
I believe the music is still great. It holds its own.
And the culture would have come from the music. You have to bear in mind at that same time, 86, 87, and then especially 88, ecstasy tablets became available. And that was the spark that ignited the culture. The music was the wood. The music was the wood of the fire. The ecstasy, and let's call the fire rave culture. The wood was the music. The spark was the ecstasy, the MDMA. And that was like, bam! All of a sudden, you've got this brand new music from the streets, from an underground culture, black urban culture, which was what we was all about in England anyway, from disco and electro. You've got this brand new music, and then you've got this little pill that makes all that music sound amazing. And you're like, all of a sudden, everyone is acid, and it was just bedlam. It kicked off. There's I've got to also mention the Boys' Own crew in London.
Yes.
And I need to mention a couple of others that were right there in 88 that would made a lot of difference. Fabio, Groove Rider, they were more the South London boys, and they were playing house music. Jumping Jack Frost, these are all drum and bass DJs now, playing house music. LTJ Bookham, playing house music. These were all playing in house in 88 as well. So these were, again, DJs that helped it come through. Carl Cox right at the beginning always. There's lots of DJs. And as our culture grew, all these DJs were just like, all doing fantastic work and breaking the scene for us in London and beyond.
So as you're seeing, and this is all around you, where are you going as this is all budding around you? Because we know slowly you're blowing up in your own way.
I'm blowing up. I started DJing doing my own parts of DJing in the fall of 87. By summer 88, I'm one of the biggest DJs in London. 6 months later, I'm one of the biggest DJs in London. I'm playing warehouse parties. I'm playing clubs. I played in 1988. I'm DJing in Berlin. I'm DJing in 89, Amsterdam. So I blew up straight away as a DJ. And it took me a while to get another release going. I was waiting on Eddie Richards to get the next release going, whereas I should have just done it myself with someone else. But that kind of held me back a little bit as a vinyl artist or a recording artist. That held me back a little. But then at the end of 89, I was invited to come and perform a rap with this band that was starting to blow up. And this band started out as like a psychedelic rock band in Scotland, and moved down to London in 1988 to discover acid house and change their blueprint from psychedelic rock to acid house. And the band was named the Shamen. And the manager, Charles Kosh, he moved down to London to get the band a recording deal and a publishing deal. And when he got down to London, stumbled across us doing acid house in illegal warehouses and was blown away. Got straight onto the band and said, "Look, you're a psychedelic band. You need to check out this acid house stuff that's going on in London. It's mental. It's absolutely batshit crazy." They came down as psychedelic heads, like psychedelic rockers, who like the electronic side of it, and went, "Woo, yes." Never went back, squatted, stayed, became part of the community. And then it was the following year, like I DJ'd for like the manager. He put on his own little raves because he liked it, and he asked me to DJ. So I played for him before the band even came down. I played for the manager at an illegal warehouse party in Whitechapel, and like so. Then when the band moved down and they started making music, I'd heard of them. I'd heard the name, the Shamen, and Charles got in contact with me again in '89, mid '89, and he said, "There's this band, they're doing a song and they would like you to do a rap on it." I said, "What's the name of the band?" He's like, "Oh, the Shamen." Oh, really a good name. You know, I'd read the book, The Yakai Way of Knowledge by Carlos Castaneda back in '85. So I'm into shamanism. You know, I'm into taking LSD, I'm into taking mushrooms, I'm into psychedelic world. And I thought, oh, that's a great name for a band. I'm like, what's the song called? It's like, Move Any Mountain. I'm like, well, that's me. I did already done a song about what you can do with meditation and the power of positive thinking. This is me all over. I've been practicing this since I was a kid, since I was 17, positive thinking and meditating and making things happen for me. I'm like, yeah, this sounds like me. And they sent me the track. He sent me the track and I thought, it's a bit white. It's very white, alternative. It's not house. Do you know what I mean? But I know that
problem. Is it a problem or not a problem for you?
It was a bit of a problem at the time.
So how did you handle it? What'd you do?
Well, I think the name of the band and the nature of the song itself persuaded me to do it.
It's metaphysical in a and when you're looking at it, it's a metaphysical way.
Like, you know what? I knew that I could add to this song in a big way with my rap. You know, like on Move Any Mountain, I knew my rap would be big. Yeah, and like so, I knew it could work. And then when I heard that Paul Oakenfold was doing the mix down on it. I was like, okay, well, if Paul Oakenfold's doing the mix, he's playing house and stuff. I know it's going to be banging. He's playing Balearic and all that. I know it's going to be a banger. I'm going to do this project. I'm going to do it. And I said, I'll do it, right? But only on the condition you let me do my own house music remix of it. And they said, yeah, okay, deal, done. So I did the C mix dub, 2 mixes, house. So my mixes were the house mixes. It wasn't on the original release. It was on the second release. And there ended up being loads of different releases of Move Any Mountain. In fact, there was a whole album called Progeny, with 19 remixes of Move Any Mountain on one album. It was like crazy. So I did that rap and did the remixes, and that helped to get me back into the recording artist side of things. And right after that, after I put my remix came out in 1990, it became a cult song in 1990. It got re-released again in 1991 and became a pop song. So that was when I started to become a pop star. But before that, I was lucky enough to remix some other stuff. Like I remixed Eyes by Midi Rain, which was a really beautiful remix that I did. Very proud of that. And that was me starting to really become an artist, a producer and an artist.
Holy smoke. And then, of course, you go from street level to now pop level.
Like that.
How drastic is that change for everyone?
Drastic. Like, you know, when Move Any Mountain blew up, it was like, okay, that was 91. And it blew up summer 91. It was already a cult hit in clubs through all of 90.
Wait. So were you driving a Ford Mondeo and they had a Rolls Royce next week? I mean, is it like that dress?
No. I mean, yeah, I was driving the piece of shit car. Yeah, like I had a Vauxhall Vectra. Yeah, I was driving a piece of shit car, but I didn't spend my money then on stuff like that. Like so I put that basically. I put that record out, and then that was 91, and I didn't really earn much money from that. You know, I earned a little. It wasn't a great deal. You know, I was just a guest rapper on a small percentage. You know, and then the remix was really just for the love. just get my name out there. I didn't care about the money. I just wanted to be on the record. Like, you can have the remix. The band, I still get my little percentage as the rapper, as the artist. I get my little 2% as the guest singer, which is nothing. It was a bit of pocket money, but that was that. But then after Move Any Mountain was when we was recording the video in Tenerife, Will Sinnott and Colin Angus both asked me to join the band as a full member because they wanted to consolidate the band with a rapper and a female vocalist as well. So I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, I'm in. Count me in. And that was when I joined the band. I said, I'm joining the band. I want to, I want a really heavy influence on the drums. It's got to go a bit more house. It's got to go a bit more techno and house for me. And they're like, yeah, we love it. Come on, get involved. But then sadly, we lost Will Sinnott, and he drowned right after the video shoot. He was taking a little break on the next island from Tenerife. Funny, Tenerife again, which is where I first MC'd, but that was where we recorded the Move Any Mountain video. It was in Tenerife, Mount Teede. Yeah, and so he went to the La Gomera, which was the next island along, and was swimming. He'd already been warned by his girlfriend not to go into a certain area because of the strong undercurrents. She was a stronger swimmer than him, and he ignored her and went into the stronger area, and he got caught by the riptide and dragged under and drowned. Very, very, very sad. Very, very sad. And the band was going to stop at that point, but we had Colin Angus, the founding member of the band. And the governor, he had a barrage of mail from fans. Please don't stop the band. It's such an important band because we're an information band. We're talking about society issues, human evolution, altered states of consciousness. Like, the band is a psychedelic band. And now the Shamen is the only dance band in the world talking about these subjects. So it's a very important band. All our songs are about altered states, being positive, moving any mountain, making it mine. All these things, Omega Omega from the beginning to the end. Before I came along, it's a psychedelic information band. And that turned into a dance band, but still psychedelic information. We were the only band doing that. So it was very important as a band to continue. And because of the fans and the letters and everything else, Colin's like, "Are you into continuing?" And I'm like, yeah. He also asked Plavka, because she sung Hyperreal, Plavka Lonok. She sung Hyperreal, and he asked her to stick around, but she said no, she was off. And she went on to do that big track with Jam and Spoon. Yeah. And then we had to consolidate our band with another female singer, and we was able to get Jaleesa Anderson. We worked with another girl, Cheryl, who was great for like live, and we was going to record with her, but she was a good singer, but there was something not quite powerful enough. But then we met Jaleesa Anderson, who's this powerful soul disco singer, from America, amazing singer, and she just blew our minds. She was like, okay, this is going to be our singer. And she sung Love, Sex, Intelligence and Forever People. And we made the Boss Drum album, which had Ebeenezer Goode, Boss Drum, Coming On Strong, all those hits on the album. So that was how that went. But sadly, we lost Will. And, that was a really big part of the band's history. And, without Will and without his effort and without what he brought to the table, the Shamen would never have been the band that they were, and I probably would never have got involved. So a lot of gratitude. And, for Colin and Will both to want me on to become a member of the band
they saw talent. They knew what they were getting with you. You're coming with a whole different angle, raw talent, street worthy, and you're bringing that. What was missing?
I know I'm good with music. I'm good at finding the chords and the progressions that I want, and the melodies and the bass lines. And my drum writing skills are proper. I've got some proper drums on me.
Wait. You missed to tell me that part. Are you musically trained, or you just have a good ear?
I have a good ear. When I was 13 in school, I did in high school. You have you guys in America. You have junior high and high. We don't. We just have high school. And when you leave primary school at 11, you go into high school and you do 5 years of high school. And at the end of the third year of high school, at 13, 14, you pick what options you want to take for the last 2 years to study for O-levels and GCSEs, etc., before you then go on to college. So I didn't pick music. Yeah. And this music teacher called my mum to the school, yeah, and broke down in tears saying, you have to make him pick music. Like, I've been in this school for 13 years. This is a school of 1,200 boys. You know, a lot of boys in that school. I've been here 13 years and your boy is only the second natural talent that I've had. You have to make him pick music. Oh, you could just play by ear, the recorder, the piano, like, you know, and I didn't. And my mum said, I can't make him do anything he doesn't want to do. The teacher broke down crying because I didn't pick music. So I was a natural and I didn't pick music. And I, you know, I thought I was going to be an architect when I was 14. I was into technical drawing and art, and I'm an artist. So I was into the art side of drawing and technical drawing, and I thought I would be an architect. That's what I thought I was at that time. And I picked, instead of picking music, I picked metalwork and woodwork and carpentry and architectural drawing, technical drawing. That was because that was what I thought I was going to do. You know, if I'd have known, I would have picked music. And it was only probably a year later that I didn't even go to school anymore because I was bored with it. I was truant from school and huffing glue and causing trouble on the streets in the projects, in the council estates. That was my upbringing. So I didn't graduate high school. I wasn't trained in anything. It was all just natural.
Wow. That's, I see people how we find out the true house story. There it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's real. That's real talk now.
Yeah. I can play chords. I say, oh, that's a nice chord. And I always because I was brought up on funk and soul and disco, I naturally went more for the minor chords than the major chords. So that was my thing. I like the bit more melancholy, the bit more jazzy, which is all based on minor jazz fifths, minor jazz sevenths. And, I liked that sound. I like the weirdness of that chord. So that was my preference in music. And it was all by ear. I'm not musically trained in any way. I didn't study. I didn't go to college. I didn't do any of that.
Yes, you did. The street.
The street, yeah. Street college. There you go.
That's this college. You learn on the job in the street. Yeah. And I tell people it's what you extract from the street and expunge it and make part of you.
Absolutely.
So apparently you're smart for your own good when you were a young lad. That sounds to me. I
actually was. It's funny because when I was in junior school at 10, because junior school, we had infant school, junior school, high school. Junior school is 4 years from 7 till 11. Yeah. And by the time I got to my 4th year of junior school, I wasn't doing the classwork with the other kids. I was helping my teacher mark the books. In the first year at 6 and 7, in the first year of junior school, all the other kids are reading these little books. This is Peter and Jane playing with a ball. I'm reading the Times. So I was a natural gift. Like when I was 10, I won an art competition for a painting that became a poster across the whole of my borough of Islington, but with a campaign not to drop litter, to keep Britain tidy. And my painting became the poster. So I was an artist as a kid. I was very gifted. Very, very gifted child.
Like I said,
very naughty child, very mischievous, always in trouble, but I was very gifted.
Ahead of your time, which leads us to believe now it makes total sense why you would be ahead of everyone else. You already had it instilled in you to see the next parts of what's coming down the road. And that's a gift. A lot of people don't understand that. You are naturally born that way. Yeah. It's not something you can learn. So you're able to, it's like, I use this, it's like being able, if you saw bushes in front of you, okay, you have the vision to see right through it to know what's on the other side. Most people would say, no, that's bushes. You say, no. Behind here is all this here for you.
I'm definitely a visionary.
Oh, yeah. And is that many?
It was always like, when I wanted to rap on house, I knew what was coming with house music. I knew what was going to happen before it blew up. I knew that house would be this phenomenon. Like when I made my record, Page 67, I knew that the beats were empowering. I knew that the house music beats were altering our brainwaves. from their normal beta state into that alpha and theta states, thus releasing serotonin neurons. I've researched that and what that percussive sound did in throwing people into like a transcendental trance-like state on a dance floor. And I knew that I could manipulate that with words. And that was why I was very excited to do my first song about meditation and positive thinking, because I knew that these words would actually hit people. You know, I remember a year after, and I had this woman come up to me in Ibiza and say, that record you did, page 67, it's changed my life. I'm now a meditator and I'm thinking about things positively, you know, and that for me was the goal. It was like, yes, if I can influence people to change their lives and use meditation or positive thinking in their lives, that was for me a massive, massive plus, to be able to give people information on this music that can help their society and their lives. And that I've been doing that ever since. I still do it today.
It's almost like a holistic way of living, basically, to your music.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Very holistic. Okay, moving on then. Now we have success. You are now doing Top of the Pops and all these wonderful things. The 90s begin.
Madness, that change. Oh my God. The first time that it really hit me, because we did Move Any Mountain and that got popular in 91. And then in 92, we released the first single off of the Boss Drum album, which was Love, Sex, Intelligence. That got to number 4 in the pop charts. Move Any Mountain got to number 5 or 4 in the pop charts. And then Ebeenezer Goode came out. And Ebeenezer Goode went in at number 7 in the first week and then went to number 1 the second week. And there it sat. And like this first week it's at number 1. I've got all my hair bleached white and stuff like that. And I wear all my sort of black fashion gear. And I'm on the tube, on the underground, on the subway in London, going to the West End. It's only a 15-minute tube journey into the West End to go record shopping. I'm gonna go to the record store, buy a load of tunes, and by this time I'm a big established DJ now. By 92, I'm huge. So I'm going record shopping and I'm on the train on the Northern Line, and all of a sudden we get to Euston Station. No, was it King's Cross? Euston Station, and all these Manchester United fans get on the train, like hundreds of them. They've come down from Manchester. They've got off their train. They all pile on the train, and one of them's gone, he's a good. And they're all looking at me, and now the whole train is going, he's a good, all pointing at me on the train. I'm like, fuck it. I wanted the ground to open up and swallow me. And it was like, I got off on the next station, which was Warren Street. I'm like, see you later, guys. I'm out of here. And I learned a big lesson that day. All of a sudden, I'm really famous. I got off at Warren Street. Now I'm noticing it, because before I wasn't even paying attention. I've got my Walkman on. I'm not even really paying attention. Now I'm seeing everybody looking at me and pointing at me. And I'm like, walking up the street. So from that day, that was the day where I was like, I'm no longer incognito. I can't just walk up the street anymore. From that day, because I wasn't even thinking about it. Now I've got, like, the next day, baseball cap, sunglasses, jeans. You know what I mean? I'm not wearing my fashion gear. Like when I'm on the street, I've got to be in, and I'm still getting people doing double takes, even though I've got a baseball cap on and glasses. I'm still getting double taking, because now I'm number 1.
How that television changes your life, so they see you on that telly.
Oh my God. It's like,
look at the heartthrob he was with the makeup. Look at him. Look how hot he's hot right now.
Yeah,
so let's go back to that again. You know what I'm saying? So that's like the Rolling Stone picture. Here we go. The guy who was at the sweaty club is now a heartthrob in a sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And for both the
celebrityness
and the gay community as well. For both the straight and gay community.
No, I'm saying this. The celebrity part has a funny way of changing things, how you're viewed.
It does. Everyone changed their view. And people that I still got my same friends that I grew up with. I still got those same friends that I grew up with as a kid.
Yeah, because they see you as a guy.
Well, no, but they started to treat me differently.
What?
They started to treat me a bit different. Oh, he's a pop star now. And so they started to treat you a little bit different, a little bit of jealousy, a little bit of green eye, a little bit about he's got to bring us in, a little bit. They started to treat me different. Yeah. And then if they're treating me different, I'm going to treat them different back as a cause and effect. And I fell out of a few people because, like if people start saying, oh, yeah, he's getting up his own arse, I'll go and knock on their door. What are you fucking talking about? Who are you talking about? Talking about me, you cunt. I'll go and knock on their door. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm still ghetto. You know what I mean? And that was a thing. And I lost
because they watched you on an interview on the telly, probably saying what you were saying, and they're probably at home screaming, that's that same prick we hung out with from the schoolyard. Who the hell does he think he is?
My mates that I was still hanging out with getting a bit green-eyed.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah. So we had a bit of that, and it wasn't good. But, we got over it pretty quickly.
Because you said it was straight. You were actually everyone's face.
Yeah, well, while my mates are being a bit, some of my mates are being a bit funny, I've also got new mates that were supportive of me. There was one guy, Paul Francis. He became DJ Unique, and his best friend, Lyle. Amazing. Paul and Lyle, they were there for me, a couple of black dudes from London, and they were there. When all my mates were being a bit weird, they were stepping up and going, "Oh, show respect, show respect." Yeah, he's done.
Show respect to the man. Show him. Show the respect.
He's bringing people in. A great picture. That's me DJing underground in Ibiza in like.
I'm just saying. But show respect to the man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
they were there for me, those guys. And the whole situation actually gave me my first ever depression, which was in late 92, early 93. I had a 6-month depression. The whole thing really got me down. The arguing, falling out, the losing friends. Like, it really hit me hard and threw me into a hole.
Let me ask this question correctly then. You're on a high with success in the business. But at the same, let's talk about a seesaw effect.
Yeah.
At the same time, the high, there's a super low, a euphoric low happening with the people that you felt were the closest to you.
My family that grew up with in the council estates.
How the hell do you deal with this? What did you do?
I just carried. I let them get on with it. I let them just do whatever it was, because I always included everybody in everything. Like people that I grew up with went on to become DJs. DJ Stick, Hijacker, who's Laggy, like Femi B, like people that I'm hanging out with. I'm bringing Unique, who stood by me. I'm bringing them in. These are all becoming DJs now. I'm bringing them in. I'm bringing them into my gigs. I'm putting them on at my parties. I'm doing. So I did open doors for those people, but there was some people. There was that period of green eye that really pushed me under, and it was very difficult to deal with. But it was Paul and Lyle that helped me through those hard times. Even my mixing got a little bit dodgy. My mixing wasn't as tight as fuck as normal. It affected me in a big way. It was like really a bit weird. That I was doing baggy mixes, and I wasn't myself. I was in a really weird place, and it took me a good 6 months to snap out of that. And then,
were you recluse too? Will you be becoming more recluse, like to yourself, staying away from everyone during this period?
No, not at all. I'm a very social creature. I love my friends. I love to be with people. I love to be out. I love to be in the middle of it. And that was especially then as a youngster in my early 20s, mid 20s. I wanted to be in the middle of everything. So no, I'm very social. And even though I didn't know I was in a depression, I didn't know it was depressed. I didn't know what it was. I'd never experienced it before. So I kept going through that. I kept DJing. I kept, I was smoking a lot of weed as well, like a hell of a lot of weed, taking a lot of ecstasy anyway. So, was it just like, drug come downs? We all know that, 2 days after taking ecstasy, we got the blues day, Tuesday, and it's like, so is it just that? And, but it affected me. It affected me in a big way. And it took me a good while to snap out of that. And that was my first depression in 93. And thankfully, I didn't suffer another one until 2017.
In between, you open up a club. You do so much in between those depression years. There's also good times, too, in between.
Yeah.
You opened probably one of the best clubs in the world.
Yeah.
London, with one of the best sound systems I remember playing on. So I could say for sure that was what happened there. You did a lot of things in those, we say, I was depressed. Okay. You weren't depressed for too long.
Also, look, I just got paid as well at the end of 82. So now I've got money. But 92. That didn't help. 92, because now, now I'm actually a partner of the Shamen, and I'm a songwriter of the Shamen, and I'm a beats. So I'm getting publishing royalties, I'm getting artist royalties. So in all of it, and we've just had a big album. When the royalties came from that album at the end, you get paid at the end of June and the end of December within 90 days. So by the end of December, I got paid for the early bit of the year. So all of a sudden, I've got a little bit of money. And then at the end of December, I get, so that bit of money that I got from the first lot of sales from the album, I didn't spend it on myself. I always said, I want to start my own record label. I had this name come into my head in 1988 called Plink Plonk. And I said, one day that's going to be my record label. I'm going to call it Plink Plonk Records. I was out of my mind in front of the speakers, and Kid Bachelor was playing, and he played a track by Lil Lewis, like bong 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 bong. Bum, bum, bum. And it was going plink plonk, and I was like, oh, Plink Plonk, that's the name of the song. The girl that I was with put it on a banner, Plink Plonk, and I knew that would be my record label. So when that first lot of money come through, I set up a recording studio, filled it up with amazing gear so that my mates can come into the studio and learn how to make music for free. And if it was good enough, I could put it out on my record label, Plink Plonk. And that was what I did with my first money. So I didn't spend it on myself. I spent it on the community, and I put the money into the community. And that was what I did with all my money. I didn't buy a flash car until I opened the End in 95. 96, I got myself a Saab, which isn't that flash. It's not
compare it to the other car that you had, it is flashy.
It was flash compared to the Vauxhall that I had. Yeah, of course.
I mean, come on, dude, that's a big upgrade for the Vauxhall.
Yeah, so and I always said anything that I make from pop music, I'm going to put it back into the scene and back and develop, because I had to break through the side door. Yeah, I wasn't given an open door. I had to break my way in and hustle to get in. Well, now I've got a community of people around me, of talent, of DJs, of people that want it and are hungry for it. So I'm able to start my own record label. And I also got some friends and people that I know who were famous to make songs, but said, you're not allowed to use your real name. Everyone's got to use a different name. So some of the early releases I had, Bullet, which was one half of Bang the Party. I had Rolo McGinty from the Wooden Tops record under the name Pluto. I had Derek Carter record under the name Tone Theory. I had, my nickname was Mantrac. Everyone had a different name, so nobody could judge. And then the new boys that were coming in, Megalon, Wild West, Stranger. Well, Stranger wasn't a new boy. He was Ian Tregoning, the engineer for Yellow, was the Stranger. So I'm getting so it doesn't matter whether you're someone who's been around doing music or someone who's new and learned. There was no judgment on who was these artists. It's all unknown names. So every release, amazing packaging, amazing music, new names. Nobody knew who any of the artists were. And we kept it a secret. We're not telling you who any of these artists are. And that was the beginnings for Plink Plonk. And I put all my money into that. And I didn't keep, like I said, I didn't buy a house, didn't buy a flash car, just put my money in. As I promised, if I make money from pop, I'm going to develop the underground with it. I'm going to put it back into the music, back into the underground. And that's what I did. And the last of my remaining money from the Shamen, I put into the End to make the End happen. And I was still living in rented accommodation. I didn't buy a house. I opened the End nightclub instead. It weren't about me. It was about the community and doing something for underground dance music. And I'm still doing that today.
Okay, so now I know in London you have this thing called the firms and the security firms and stuff that control these clubs. Because I know that because I remember working with one of the firms, on a record. that the hooligan firms that. So you open up the End, and you're in the center of London doing this.
Yeah.
What kind of troubles this start to bring to you? Because I know there's mafia. Well, we call the firms. It's similar to
mafia.
Mafia. It's English mafia.
We had a little trouble, but not with the regular mafia. Not with the regular firms. I'm already known. in London. People know me. You know, I've got mates. I'm a football fan, and you know, I was involved a little bit as a teenager, and a bit of hooliganism. And you know, I've got my mates, and you know, like all the like, you know, I'm a Chelsea fan, and some of the Chelsea boys know me, and all the Arsenal boys know me because I was brought up with them. And you know, some of the gangsters in North London gangsters, like, are my friends. I grew up with and went to school with. You know, this is my peeps. So I was kind of protected, you know. There was gangs in East London that come into some things in East London, but it never affected me with my events or my things because I was kind of protected. I had my security. I had my, and I knew. There was a problem with the end. There was a big problem with the gay scene. We had a gay night, DTPM, and they were... Right, yeah, there's a made best gay night in England without any doubt. But the dealers in there, they were a gay mafia, yeah, and they were all big muscle men, and they had a whole big firm of them, 20 of them, 15 of them, all muscle men, and they would be in there selling all the ecstasy and the cocaine and everything else, and like it was difficult to stop them. And then this Barry Legg bill came in, a new bill, government bill, that said if clubs don't stop drug dealing going on in their club, they're going to revoke the licenses. So now we're in a situation where we've got to stop these people dealing. At first, we were like, let them deal. If they get nicked, it's their problem. Do you know what I mean? Just let them get on with it. Yeah.
It became your problem.
They had a line. They had a line of people it was that blatant. It was so open. It was ridiculous. And so like, well, now this new bill coming through, we've got to stop it. We've got to stop them doing this. And we did. So we said, right, you've got to stop it. We can't do it anymore. And it kicked off, and there was a big fight with our security and the gay mafia. And it all got really nasty, and they left. The next week, we know they're coming back. So I take control of the situation, and I call my boys. And my boys are the heavies, the heavy heavies, not the gay heavies, but the heavies. So I call in, and I've got like, we work out a little thing with Layo's father. Layo's my partner, Layo Bushwacka. Layo's my partner in the end, and Layo's father is also my partner in the end. And the plan, we put together a plan, and it was like, okay, you come in your shirt and tie. You know, he's an older man, like posh, very middle class, like talks very posh, very well. He's going to meet with him, and he's going to say, no, you can't come in here, because that's going to throw them. That there's this older posh man saying you can't come in. It's not security. You can't come in. It's an old posh man saying you can't. Who says we can't come in? Mr.C says you can't come in. Where the fuck is Mr.C? Bring him out here now. And he's already out here. He's over there, over the road, just there. They look over the street. They see the two men that I'm with, and run. All 20 of them run away.
Really?
Yeah. I never see anyone move so fast in my life. So that's a case of my upbringing, standing up, looking up for me. My mates that I grew up with, standing, going, yeah.
You called what we call enforcement.
I called the big boys.
Or my friend Byron would say bone crushers.
Yeah, the big boys. They're, you know, the ones you don't
bone crushers. They don't play. They don't talk.
Yeah, they don't play. And they see them, and they're off. And that was it. Never had a problem ever again. Ever again.
Because you come from Street University.
That part.
And I talk about this in New York too. I remember playing in the clubs, and the mob guys controlled these rooms, these clubs.
Yeah.
You couldn't have an establishment running like that.
I'll give you a little heads up. I'm looking at the clock, and I've got a realtor coming round to my house in about 10 minutes. So I'm
realtor. Okay, so we're gonna leave one last question for you. And I was going to ask this, you know, you have done all these amazing things, okay?
So many.
I mean, you've covered so much, and thank you.
Yeah, well, you know, obviously there was the record labels, Plink Plonk, End Recordings, and now Superfreq Records and events that I do now.
Last but not least, where does Mr.C see him going in the yonder from now?
Well,
that's the plan that we want to know.
There's lots of plans. I studied 5 years as a method actor, trained. So I'm a trained method actor, and I studied psychology. I teach meditation because I've been into it since 1983. And so I teach meditation and help people as a life coach, provide tools for them to be able to be the masters of their own universes and their own illusions. So that's definitely going to be some of that in my future. There's definitely going to be some acting in my future, but the music story's not finished yet by a long shot. And I'm moving back to London actually tomorrow, and I'm going to continue working my label, Superfreq Records, and making loads of music. And I want, you know, I'm pushing hard, and that's why I'm moving back to London, because I've got much more support and opportunity there for my label to grow. My management are there, my PR company is there, all my team is there. So I need to really get there so I can make Superfreq the platform that it deserves to be, so I can continue to support new talent and new kids coming through to push their music. The legacy is everything for me. It's about now, you know, Superfreq is one of the best underground acid labels in the world, but it's underground. It goes below the radar. And after 20 years as being a brand, Superfreq, it's time for that to now come slightly above and get picked up by the radar. And it's going to take me going back to London to make that happen. And that's going to be the mission for the next year. You know, it's been very difficult for me as Mr.C living in America. I'm not going to lie. There's a great scene across America.
Why?
Well, there's a great scene across America, but my sound is very unique. It's not generic in any way. It's acid, techno, house music hybrids that are very left of center, very electronic, very weird, dark and twisted, edgy, forward thinking. And like that, whilst the underground scene in America is amazing and understands me completely, the club scene doesn't. The club scene's more generic. So I've not got the work and everything that I need to keep me here on a full level in the clubs. Whereas the clubs in the UK and in Europe get it a bit more. They will go for a slightly more underground and innovative sound in Europe than they will in the clubs here. And I'm not talking about the undergrounds, because the undergrounds here in America are amazing. I'm talking about the clubs. So for me to have enough work, I need to be working more in clubs in America. And sadly, I'm not getting those bookings, and agencies haven't known how to deal with me out here, because, like, you know, everywhere I DJ, I smash it, and everyone's like, wow, that's amazing. I'm fun. I get involved. I become part of the community. I get on with the promoters. But then, you know, they're underground, and they want to book up a DJ. So I might get a gig once a year or once every 2 years. What about in between time? So I've got to go to London and Europe to earn money, which is a weaker economy than America, and the dollar being so strong. And I've got to earn money to convert it to dollars to pay to live and pay double in America. Yeah, when I can be living half the price in England with more work, more gigs, and more opportunity, and more support, and more. So I just need to be in England for the good of my brand and for the good of my music. It needs to be in England, and I've got other opportunities happening in England, with acting opportunities, music opportunities for making music for soundtracks or for commercials. And I've got all these opportunities there that I don't have here. And so I'm going back to London to take care of shit and get that on. And, you know, this next year, 2023, is going to be a massive, massive year for me. And it's going to be a little bit of a comeback. I never really went away, but, you know, I've seen a lot of DJs, you know, they've been massive and they get super and then they have a comeback.
Let's call it a rebranding. It's a rebranding exercise. That's all it is, because you never left.
Yeah, I don't have to rebrand, because what I'm doing is already innovative and forward thinking. It's about marketing it in a different level and in the place it should be marketed for it to blow up again. Basically. So that's what I'm going to be doing right now. And then I'll be following that up with, you know, working on lots of different projects. I'm working on a festival. I did Summer Love Festival in 21, and it was my first festival, outdoor festival, and it was fantastic. I lost a bunch of money, but it was what it was. And then I did try to do it again in 21, and my festival got closed down because the Queen died. And again, I lost a load of money, but now I'm working on it for 22. So that's another thing. I'm going to be working on my festival. I'm changing the name from Summer Love Festival to Manifest. It's a much better name, a bit more festival style name, but it's going to have the same arenas, and there's going to be a Summer Love Arena, so there'll still be the connection, but the name will change. It's a rebranding of the festival. So I'm going to work on the festival, I'm going to work on the label, I'm going to work more on my own productions. I want to get more prolific because I'll be more focused. I won't be having to travel off for 3 weeks, 4 weeks to earn money to come home to pay for the bills. I'll be there and I'll be settled, and I'll be more prolific with my songwriting and my music writing because I'll be more focused and not have to travel as much. And so there's all these things that I need to be doing to follow my flow into the goal that I have.
Is there a call for you guys for the Shamen to go back out? Have you been asked about that?
People have been asking. I get harassed on my Mr.C page all day long. It's never going to happen. Colin Angus doesn't want to. He's never wanted to do it again. And he's the governor. He's the founding member of the band. And, without Colin, there is no Shamen. And while I've been right up for it, believe me, over the last 10 years, I've been up for making it back because it's a very important band. And Colin's just not up for it. And now we're in our late 50s, mid to late 50s. There's no point. We're no Rolling Stones. It's a young man's game, and touring is a young man's game. It's not an older gentleman's game, and I think that's a big part of it. And even I feel like that even as a DJ now. I don't want to be DJing every weekend, doing 10 gigs a month. It's too much for me now. I want to do pick and choose and do the 3 or 4 gigs a month that really suit me, and have to take weekends off and be more focused.
It wants to be like that, smiling.
I think that was that might have been Get Lost in Miami Winter Music.
Well, I'm just saying, he wants to be relaxed. He wants to do what he does. Just do it.
Yeah. So for me, London is going to do that. Not being on tour, traveling takes it out of you. Like, when I'm back in London,
people love to see that again. They would love to see that again. You getting that look and coming back out and performing.
Yeah, I mean, I look great anyway. I've always got good.
Oh, you do. You look fabulous. No, there's no question on that. I'm saying
I've aged pretty well, so I'm lucky like that. But actually doing that touring, like consistently, month in, month out, week in, week out, I'm over it. I know it's too much. And living in London, I can say, right, I've got a gig. I'm going to play at Panorama Bar in Berlin this weekend. Go and enjoy a Saturday night at Panorama Bar.
Saturday afternoon.
Back home, and I can still do my work all week long. So this is why I need this change, so that I don't have to be on tour. I can just go and do gigs.
Well said. Excellent time I had spending this with you. Education.
It's been a while since we've seen each other, and you're an absolute legend yourself. So to be here and be interviewed by a legend such as you is my absolute honor and privilege, sir.
I can't thank you enough, and I'm blushing, for God's sake. I don't like to blush, but thank you. I will say this. Don't stop what you're doing, because the key to staying young is exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
You'll never
stop. Rock it to the rhythm. Don't stop.
That's it. Brother. You got to keep going, because if you're not, because the minute you take your foot up the accelerator, it's over. Only you control that. Only you.
I just heard a knock at my door. But our timing is perfect, isn't it?
It's wonderful. For everyone out there in the world, thank you very much. Mr.C, Richard West. Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much for having me on board. Absolutely brilliant. You look after yourself, and you be very well, sir.
Thank you, sir. And hopefully soon we'll be working together again. It's been a long time, but thank you.